We are drinking and driving here on Talladega week, one of the most exciting weeks in the whole NASCAR season, and probably Dick and I's favorite race. Is that correct?
Yeah, good old Dirty Dega. Probably
Dirt.
is the race that got us into NASCAR, and it was probably one of the most miserable weekends we've had together, but it was by far one of the most fun weekends as well. It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the dirty one in Dallin, Alabama, because I think I'm still getting that red dirt from Alabama tailgate fields out of my truck, and I just tossed those clothes. I'm telling you, we took full advantage of all that Talladega has to offer. We're going to get into some of those old stories and what you can expect in Talladega, but this is this is a pretty important time of year, I think. We had a pretty big thing happen. Chase Elliott gets his first win in 2 seasons. Is he back or is he not?
Yee doggy. Yeah, I'm so excited. I was watching that race, rooting for him. I'm so happy he's back after 5 races, I believe. Finally gets a win. And yeah, he had a good week last week too, before Texas, and then finally gets the dub at Texas. He's a streaky driver. We all know that. And look for him to run it back this week at Dega.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, he has won before, and I think he can win it again. But before we go into that, Chase was sort of our favorite racer going into it. I mean, you said it. Talladega was the race that got us into NASCAR. We kind of were just playing around with the idea of getting into NASCAR, and that sparked our interest. And at that time, Chase Elliott was just off of his championship season, and so of course, being the people's driver and the champion, and us being the most shallow people you could ever meet, we took the favorite. So we followed Chase Elliott from the very beginning of our NASCAR fandom, and man, does it feel good that he's back.
Yeah, I remember some of us didn't know all the drivers that year, and we only knew Chase Elliott because he was the people's driver. And I think they were giving away free energy drinks
That's right.
sponsored by Chase Elliott, and we got a flag, and we're like,
Yep.
okay,
A-Shock Energy.
this is it.
Yeah, they brought the A-Shock Energies just at the right time because we were probably hitting a wall on our drinking for the day. You know, when you're in Talladega, you're waking up at 7 o'clock. You're starting to brush your teeth with a Iron City. That's a Pittsburgh beer. Sorry, a Miller Lite or any old beer, or maybe some Jack Daniels while you're brushing your teeth. And so around 4 o'clock, you gotta either turn it on or you got to turn it off. And they came over with those A-Shock Energy free samples and a flag, and we were all in.
100%.
But
And
what? Oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say I'm jealous we couldn't make it back this year. I know we tried to get to the April race, but
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about maybe going to the October race, so we'll see what we could do.
Yeah, we still have rights to the infield on I think that's the first week of October race. We'll have to see what's going on. Um, really depends on if you guys want to get there with us. So, uh, but back to racing. Texas was a fun one. We had Chase Elliott come back. But what does that mean for the Hendrick guys? Holy shit. They are still on a crazy streak.
I mean, they already got three Hendricks drivers in the playoffs. They just need Bowman to get it squeak in there, and I think he has the capability to. He's racing pretty good this year as well. But yeah, you gotta be happy for the three big boys getting wins this early in the season.
That's right. You look at the driver standings after Texas, you have Kyle Larson as number one, Chase Elliott 4, and Willie Byron at number 5. So, yeah, did I say Byron? Because I meant
Yes.
Byron.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard Willie B in my head.
Yeah,
But
okay. I started off with a pretty tall 4.
good.
Yeah, okay.
That's needed every
So, I
once in a
mean,
while. It's a long week.
yeah, you look at that, you got 3 in the top 5. And Truex and Hamlin sticking that 2 and 3. Uh, Pretty expected standings through the year. At the beginning, remember were talking about where everyone lies on that list, and we were like, "What the heck is happening?" I mean, it seemed like anything could happen at that point, and it seems like the world is righting itself right now.
Yeah, is back to normal now, and is about to get unnormal now at Talladega coming up.
Yeah, you
Anything could
can't
happen
expect
there.
it. Can't expect anything. The only last thing I want to talk about the standings is you still have Joey Logano and Kyle Busch on the outside looking in. If the season ended right now, they would be absolutely furious with their performance this year, um, and rightfully so. They're better drivers than this, and I think it's only going to take just 1 or 2 races to just get them back into it. But right now, they're not racing well.
Yeah, and I mean, you can kind of see it in the past couple weeks. They're starting to heat up a little bit, but still not great finishes. I mean, Kyle Busch last week, basically just strategy by strategy. I think he was a top 10 racer, but his car not fast at all. Logano is probably looking this week to right the ship. I think he has a good shot here at Dega, but I'm sure later in the season they'll get back on top of things.
Yeah, I think the Toyotas could be a favorite here. Of course, probably go Toyota, then Chevy, then Ford. If you look at the wins this year, Chevy's won 6 of the 9 races, and Toyota has the other 3. Ford winless on the year.
Yeah, in the books, the Toyotas and Chevys are tied for the favorites. I don't believe that a Toyota nor a Chevy is going to win. I believe a Ford's going to win this race. So I think they need to. I think it's more out of necessity. Fords are supposed to be good at super speedways, so hopefully they could find a win this week.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a possibility. Now let's talk a little bit more about Texas because we had uh, a little bit of action, a lot of pit drama, a lot of tire failures, some penalties, and some suspensions given. Larson lost his tire under caution in the second stage. That led to a 2-lap penalty for him, and now 2 pit crew members have been suspended for 2 races on a week that tire changing is gonna be a really, really big topic. You got to be quick on those tire changes at Talladega because they're going so fast that if you just screw up for a few milliseconds, then you're done. So I would look to Larson. I mean, he can't be happy with that. He likes his position where he stands this year to lay low the next 2 races, but if I know Kyle Larson, he's not going to stay, and lay low.
Yeah, I disagree with you there. I don't think Larson has a chance here at Talladega. He's not a super speedway racer. He has some very weak finishes, especially here. I'm looking to fade him this week, honestly. Maybe his pit crew can keep him in it, or maybe he could hang back in the pack and wait for the big one to happen, and then maybe he could squeak by and somehow get a win. But I do not like Kyle here just because it is a super speedway.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. He's like you said, like not the strongest super speedway driver in the whole world, but it's freaking Kyle Larson. And that's exactly what I am saying about Denny Hamlin this year. Of course, he has won this race, um, but he seems unstoppable, and I think he could have won this race. He was neck and neck with Chase Elliott with 2 laps to go when he ended up spinning out, and that's what led to the overtime finish, where of course he had fallen back and did not have a shot to win it, leaving Chase Elliott to take the checker. But I'm telling you, if he didn't, lose his back tires and spin out there, he had a chance to win. And he, at this moment in time, I would say he could win any single race.
Yeah, I think if Chase restarted on the outside there and Denny was the inside, I think Denny would have won that easily. Being on the outside lane, especially with the tires getting slicker throughout the race, it's hard to stay in on the turns. So you saw a lot of crashes in the turn 1 and 2 coming out of turn 2. I think that's where Denny
No, that was coming out.
spun
I
out
think that
there. No, he spun out of
yeah.
turn 3. Yeah, or
No, he,
out of turn
out of
4.
turn 4.
Yeah, it was right before the
Yeah,
white flag
coming
was
out
thrown.
of turn 4.
Yeah, but being in the outside lane, it's hard to
Yeah,
stay
but
in
he
it.
wasn't. He didn't
And
get
then we,
clear. So, you know, I still think that there was a chance, even staying on the outside lane. He had the speed. If he would have got around, and I mean, he had the better shot on that straightaway, and he probably would have stayed neck and neck. And there probably would have been a little bit of a probably bumping going into turn 1. Um, and but the outside driver has a advantage coming out of those turns, and you know they're carrying so much speed at that point, and you know both of those guys, they don't think about what these guys are. When they go sit down and have a meal together, what they're going to say to each other. They're there to win, and so they had no problem doing something a little bit questionable to get there. And I mean, Danny Hamlin is the king of doing that. I think he still could have cleanly, I mean, in parentheses or in quotation marks, cleanly could have won that.
yeah, perhaps, but I guess we'll never be able to see that because unfortunately he had the spin out there. But we had a couple few overtimes, which is pretty cool. I think we got to the point where Chase was on his last restart before he had to pit for gas, so he was able to stay clear of that. But yeah, during that last, I'd say 30 laps, I think we saw, I don't know how many cautions, a lot. And then we saw the whole field shifting back and forth. I think everybody was probably in the top 10 at one point within the last 30 laps. So there's a lot of chaos happening. So it made the race really exciting up until the end. So I'm happy for
Yeah,
that.
it did. And to add to that excitement was a little bit of drama between Ryan Blaney and why can't I think of his name? Priest. Little bit of heat there. Blaney kept running Priest up the track and setting him up to do what Denny did and spin out on the coming out of that turn. And just to make him uncomfortable, get track position so that he had the speed coming out of the turns. And Blaney ran him up much more than he expected. And Blaney said that Priest, he had every right to come and retaliate, which he ended up doing on lap 180. He came in and sideswiped Blaney, and after the fact, he wasn't even mad. He was like, yeah, I kind of deserved that. My bad. Which is exactly what we don't want to see. I want to see fists fly, yelling, cursing. It had the potential to have some heat to it, but unfortunately they solved it like mature adults.
Yeah, that's annoying when people are
Yeah,
actually mature about things. It's definitely not exciting. It has to be more like, hockey.
that's right.
Just throw fists.
Now, if
Let them fly.
you want to talk any more about Texas, we can, but I want to talk about what's going to make me real fucking immature, getting drunk in Talladega.
Yes, I am super excited to talk Talladega. Before we get there and talking how drunk we're gonna get watching it, and if we were there even insanely more drunk, I didn't realize that like back in the day, NASCAR drivers could
Really?
drink and drive, literally. Like it was only up until the 2005
Yeah,
season
but
where they
like, was it
banned
one of
drinking
those
and
things
driving.
that uh, you should probably put it in the rules just in case, like, because, technically you could do it, but no one was actually doing it. Was there anyone actually drinking and driving?
No, I mean, I was reading this one news article, and it was saying like because they banned it because people would get pissed off when someone got spun out, and then they would get out of their cars and like start fist fighting, which is like awesome. But NASCAR banned it because it was like not safe. Who would have thought drinking and driving is not safe? But
Getting
it
heated
wasn't
at
for
the
like
end?
spinning people out. It was
Hmm.
because of like the fights
Yeah,
everybody would get in
but like,
afterwards. Yeah. So yeah, I was reading this one news article, and he was saying the one driver was like, there's another driver that was mad at this one driver because he spun him out, and then the guy didn't like remember, and the next day he was like, "Yo, why are you so mad at me?" And he was like, "Man, you spun me out." I was like,
oh,
"Oh,
I
I
did
don't
not
really
know
remember.
that.
I had like 10 beers during that race."
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
I hope that's a true story.
I
I
bet you
hope,
that was just like a
like, I
select few
didn't fact
guys.
check this at
I
all,
can't
but it looks
imagine
like a
that
legit news article.
these
So,
guys were out there.
oh, I'm
No.
sure. No, I can't imagine like the top guys or like, yeah, like a Jeff Gordon or an Earnhardt. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. This whole sport is, based off of running moonshine. So why not have just a few beers while driving? It takes the edge off. You're going 200 miles an hour, risking your life. So like,
Yeah, I mean, I would like
hey,
that
I
sport.
need some alcohol.
I
I'm
think
not
we
gonna
should
die
go back and
sober.
watch all those reruns. But all right, we're at our favorite track. Favorite track, 2.66 mile super
All right, let's
speedway.
get
We're
back
going
into it. Talladega.
500 miles for 188 laps. Tune in on Sunday at 3 p.m. on Fox. But let's talk about the party. Talladega, the race happens at 3 p.m. on Sunday, but Talladega week is already going. We're recording on Wednesday evening, and people are already there in their camper, in the tents. They are ready for the biggest party of the year. And I'm just sad I'm not there with them.
Same here, Tex. Same here. Remember, if
Yeah,
you're
we're
going
gonna
to
leave it
this
at that.
race, bring
But
all the
you're gonna
bees
need them.
that you can carry. You're gonna need them.
It'll enhance your night, I'm sure. Especially Yeah, especially when you go to the big one on the
It'll
boulevard
enhance the
on Friday night.
experience.
That is by far the biggest party of the biggest party of the week. So Friday night, go down to the boulevard, right down through the middle of the infield, and it's like the hardest core party you could possibly imagine. And the drivers are there. They run through, in their pickup trucks. They throw beads. They will throw beer koozies or whatever, like promotional merchandise, probably some T-shirts. Get the guys going. But after they get out, it is an all-out mayhem. Last year, there was a bunch of ladies wrestling in a pool for a big salami. The pool was filled with pumpkin puree. So yeah, that was all in one sentence there. Ladies wrestling in pumpkin puree for a salami. So uh, anything could happen down there. I
Well, I know
mean,
where Dick's going
how
tonight.
many makeshift bars and like fan clubs and stripper poles and that kind of stuff did you see down there on the boulevard? It's nuts. So be safe. Don't drink and drive, but it's
Yeah.
a party. It's easy to forget that there's a race going on, that's for sure. But when there is a race, one of the coolest traditions I think in NASCAR is the Peterbilt truck, the old gold and brown truck that runs around the track with the American flag during the national anthem. I actually didn't understand the story behind that. Did you? Yeah, so apparently a old driver
I
named
didn't know there
John
was a story
Ray, he
behind it.
was driving NASCAR in the 70s, and actually, he specialized in Talladega. Back then, a lot of drivers stuck to their local tracks even though it was on the NASCAR series. They weren't traveling around as much. They were mostly just driving in their hometowns or um, you know, short driving distance from there. But he actually wrecked in 76 at Daytona and broke 56 bones in his body during that wreck. So he retired from there, but went and kind of was a legend at Talladega, just being in and around the track. So it was actually the race after 9/11. He decided that what's more patriotic than getting his big 18-wheeler, get it out on the track, get it up to 100 miles an hour around that banking, and put out the biggest American flag he could possibly think. And so every year since 9/11, that has been happening. Unfortunately, he did die in 2020, but the tradition does continue with a guest driver. I don't know if it's a son or one of his friends. I don't know exactly who drives the Peterbilt now, but it is so cool to watch. And I mean, when you know the meaning behind it, you might put a tear to your eye. Yeah. So that begins the race.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
pretty cool. I did not know
What
about
you
that.
need when that thing goes around there, you need
Go
a
America.
bald eagle come down and just like,
Score 1 for us.
you know, I don't know. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Is that what they make?
So if you are not super foggy and you can actually
Sound does
pay
a bald
attention to
eagle
this
make?
race, what's gonna happen? All right, let's end this podcast right now then.
I have no idea.
Yep.
And if you're a bettor, yeah, just call it quits. No, if you're a bettor, don't expect to make money. Just expect to lose all your money because there's no telling what could happen. It's more unpredictable than the Daytona 500 for real. It's the best race of the year, the longest race of the year, and the quickest race of the year. So, yeah, just if you're gonna go bet, you could bet some long shots, and you may be able to get a win and make some real good money. But um, that's pretty much just a lottery ticket right there. No skill involved in picking your guy. So look at the back of the pack. Look at someone in the middle. I would stray away from picking a favorite because, yeah, like I said, you just never know. The big one could happen at any time,
I could tell
anywhere,
you what
in
is
any
gonna
part of the
happen,
field.
and that's exactly
So
why I keep losing money every
I
week.
cannot tell you
But
what's going to happen.
I know who I would expect to be up there. Before I get to that, did you see Tyler Reddick's 2311 car that was announced yesterday? Holy crap. Jordan, it's a Michael Jordan special edition car,
No, I did
and
not.
it looks like, one of his new fancy pairs of shoes. It's pretty sweet. So, okay, anyway, yeah, it's a cool one. And I think there's going to be a bunch of other cool
Sweet.
paint schemes. But
I'll have to look into that.
I probably wouldn't be betting on Tyler Reddick in that car. I think yeah, yeah, but I think there will be some scratches on that baby at the end of that
Yeah,
one.
he's going to be
So,
afraid to
stay away
put a
from
scratch
Tyler
on it.
Reddick. I would stay away from the 2311 team altogether. And you may be saying, but Noah, Bubba Wallace, I'm but but Bubba Wallace did win here. It was actually his first
What?
career Cup win. Um, that was a technicality, and I don't think it has any merit to it. The race got rained out after however long, two stages. So yeah, I'm gonna stay away from 23 altogether. Who
Stages.
I am gonna put my money on is Ricky Ross Chastain. I know you weren't gonna think I said Ricky. You were probably thinking someone else. Ross Chastain. Get, get this. How many times do you think he's been racing at Talladega? No, it's not. It's actually his 10th. You know how many
Ricky Ross
times he's been in the top
Chastain.
10?
I bet this is his first time out.
All 10 of those. Yes. And you know what? The only lap he has ever
8.
led was the last
Really?
one in 2022 to win the race. So he knows how to stay up there, and he doesn't know how to lead the laps, but he knows how to finish this race.
Huh.
And with him coming in, that's right. With him coming in in odds around 9th,
And that's the
10th,
most important thing.
depending on which site you look at, that is a good pick, I think. He will stay in the top 10, but he seems like he knows how to get it done at the end. I don't know if there's any bets on him being top 5 or top 10, if it's worth it, but he is someone to watch regardless of making money. He knows how to finish top 10.
I'm pretty impressed
Why?
with that pick there, Tex, and I'll tell you why. Because I overlooked him. I haven't seen much of him all year, so I was kind of fading him. But now that you said all of those important stats, I might have to look back into him. But since you gave your pick to win, I will give my pick to win. And he is probably middle of the pack. He is 40-1 to win the race, so plus 4,000. I am going to go with Chase Briscoe. I've been on him for a while now. He's been looking really sharp in the last couple of races. Had a top 10 last week. He qualifies really well. He has 10th place at Daytona, 3 top 12s at Super Speedways last year. And like I said, that top 10 last week. He has been putting together races more often, not just qualifying well. So I think look at him to get
Okay.
a win,
All right.
his first win in a long time here.
Now, some
at
other people I
Talladega.
would say we need to look out for is Brad Keselowski, who's had a pretty good run. Recently he had a few top fives, I think even a second. No wins yet, and actually his last win was at Talladega in April of 2021. And just he has 6 wins altogether at Talladega, and that being his last one, it's only fitting that this is when he comes out and does it. He's someone to watch, not someone I'm betting on, because after last year being, just thinking he's got to do it, he's got to get there now, and him never coming through, I'm gonna fade him, but that's just because I'm just thinking about the bad times, even though the good times seem to be coming up for him. All right, yeah, and then of course you said it already. Chase Elliott to come
Okay,
back to
I
back.
see you.
He's a streaky driver. He has 2 wins here, 8 top 10s. I mean, he knows how to drive at Talladega. He knows how to drive at every track basically, but um, he knows how to win a super speedway. So, and of course, his owner is Hendrick. So I think with Hendrick being by far the top performer this year, um, you can't really bet against them. So it's basically which Hendrick car is going to finish first.
Yeah, and I think getting that right, and I don't think Larson's really in the chase as much as he wants to be. I just don't think he'll be able to be the fast car to win it. Um, but Chase Elliott finally takes the pressure off with the win last week. I think he could be, as aggressive as he wants to be and just keep playing on how well he's been racing the past couple of races and, just go out and win this race. If he doesn't, then oh well, he already got the win. He's already in the playoffs. So I think being a streaky driver as Chase is, he has a good track record here. Look for
Yeah.
him to go back
Yep.
to back.
You got
I
any
would not overestimate him.
other people that you want to watch or completely fade?
Yeah, I'll do another dick pick here. Eric Jones, top 10 at plus 175. He's just like a really above average driver that is not getting the love in the sports books for some reason. And until the sports books correct his value, I'm going to bet him almost every time I can. He's a Toyota driver, really good Toyota driver. Probably the bottom of the Toyota drivers, but just because how good Toyota is in general, he's still like above average of the 40 car lineup. So I think, Eric Jones can get a top 10 easily. And at plus 175, I would, dial that one in for sure. And, like I said, this is Talladega, so nobody knows what's going to happen. And these are by far not my most confident picks. But if I'm having to pick, like I do every week, these are the most confident that I can get for a super speedway. So
That's right.
like I just said,
This is the
just
most notorious
be
track for
cautious of how much you're
unexpected
betting for
winners.
these.
So I'm here for these surprises, and I think the surprises are going to play a pretty big role in the playoff picture. If you were to just look at it right now, who would you expect to just squeak into the playoffs that does not get a win this year? Or I'll give you 2 options to answer your question there. You can answer both of them, but we're gonna expect unexpected winner either this week or in the next coming races. Who's that gonna be? I can start. Unexpected winner that'll make the playoffs, or just a driver that
The most
is just
unexpected winner.
at this
Go
point
ahead.
in the season you think is just going to be squeaking in that maybe we weren't expecting. Um, And I think you made fun of me for saying his name earlier this season, but what about Austin Cindric? And he has played. I say play. He's driven well at a few tracks, not necessarily this year. I think I said the same thing about Daytona. He had a win there, and he wasn't just I don't think it was a fluky win. He raced really well there, and he is gaining a lot more experience here in the Cup Series. So I think his only chance of getting into the playoffs is a race win, but I wouldn't be super surprised if we saw him get a very unexpected, not necessarily here, but he could do it. He's won so many races in other series. Um, you know, that's one that I would say is very unexpected. Outside looking in, it seems like uh like Bubba Wallace always is on that hump. Will he make it? Will he not? That's who my outside looking in, um, who will not get a win this year, but could still be that last rung. I think he did that in the last 2 years. No, sorry, he won a race 2 years ago, but last year he was on the bubble. And yeah, so what do you think?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I agree. I think Bubba could be doing that same thing as he did last year. However, I think Bubba's actually going to get a win this year. It looks promising for him. 23XI is investing a lot of money in their drivers, and this has to be the year that Bubba gets a win,
Ooh.
or else he might be on the chopping block. Unpopular opinion here, I think Ty Gibbs will make playoffs. I don't think he's going to get a win to do it. I just think he's young. I don't know if he is able to put everything together to be the top driver at the end of the race. But I think he has. I mean, he's in. I don't know standings right now, sixth.
Yeah, I think he could get a win though. I mean, you saw
I think he's going to have enough points by the end of the year, especially with
like 3
how
or
hot
4
he's
races in
been.
a row there.
With at least
I think
finishing
ending
front a
about 2
lot.
weeks ago. I think if he goes on one of those streaks, it's just just a move at the end that can get him there. But I like those picks. But should we get to our normal shootout? All right, you got first pick this week, so you can take a driver from the top 15
Let's do it
on the odds list. I mean, remember, he's got 6 wins
Yep,
here,
pulling up the
and
odds
he's
list
been
right
fast.
now. Ryan Blaney is leading the hunt. How about that? Brad Keselowski too. What? I'm kind of fading Brad K. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's had a strong car all year though. If any good finishing positions he's had is from strategy, I wouldn't say a fast car, or he got lucky. So on some restarts.
I could
I would
not
be
agree
fading
less.
Keselowski. Maybe he gets back on track this week. You never know. But
Yeah.
with that
Well,
said,
I
I
don't
think
think
Joey Logano
that
is going to get back on track
any
this
of these
week. So I
3
will take him
Fords
with
should
my
be
first
in
overall.
the top 5. I think they should be about 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I figured that'd be an unpopular
Talking
pick.
Blaney, Keselowski, Logano in that order. I don't like it. I just don't like it. He has given you nothing this whole year to say that you should pick him. I mean, you have every right to pick anyone in this lineup, and you pick Joey Logano. I think you're an idiot. Yeah, so I'm gonna take someone way stupider. No, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna stick with my gut there.
And that's why I'm the
I
one
know
making the money
Chastain's
this year.
led only 1 lap, but 10 top 10s in 10 starts. If he doesn't win, he's gonna be there. So I'm going with Chastain. All right. So I guess I got back half next. So on our list, that would be Eric Jones and below.
Okay.
That would be
I
plus
like the pick.
3,000. Right? Is that what
I
you
have
got,
nothing
Clay?
bad against it.
Dick. Holy shit. You're about there? Okay, so right off the bat, you see a bunch of Fords just leading up the back half of
I'm
this
close
race.
to there.
Austin Dillon doesn't give you much to watch most races,
I'm about
but
there.
he did show up a little bit last week. Um, he actually was, I think he was racing second for quite a bit of laps, but not going to go with him. I'm actually going to go with someone that has had a very rough start here. He has the capability to win. He showed a lot of promise last year when he was driving Chase Elliott's number 9 during his injury and suspension. Now driving the number 4 Josh Berry's Ford. He kind of got unlucky with some pitting issues, not pitting issues, but like car issues because of his pit crew, and then ended up blowing his a little bit of patience there. So he did not finish the race. Or did he finish the race? If he did, it's in the end. But I'm going to go with Josh Berry.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of more off him this week, but I could see some points for him against him. He's a back half driver. There's not a whole lot of, results to really pull from. With my back half driver, I'm going to take John Hunter Nemechek. Well, yeah, I'm excited for him. I think he is going to be a really solid up-and-coming driver. He qualified 10th at the 500 this year, finished 7th, and really that's all I need to look at. He's shown that he can finish top 10 at a super speedway.
The random.
And that's all I'm going to go with.
Here we go. You are going first.
That just shows he can win.
And the number is,
if he could get lucky with the big one or even a small one, maybe he could squeak by and get that win.
He can win at super speedways. Yeah, I honestly, that could be.
Okay.
That could have been a good back half pick.
He has the experience. He's an older driver.
I'm hoping to get one
He's shown he could be fast at super speedways, and he only comes out and plays every once in a while. So that means he thinks he could win it. It's all about the mentality.
Yeah. All right, I'm going. Number 7. Who's 7?
He's actually on my card. I had him in a matchup against Stenhouse at -115.
We already said it. Yeah.
I was going to take him there too. McDowell over Stenhouse. And go for it?
Yeah, you know what? He's a good driver,
but
makes stupid mistakes.
He has a win here.
Does that make sense?
We know we're against him, but
you said he could be in the chopping block this year.
He's a decent super speedway driver.
If he doesn't make the playoffs or something.
People think he is. So.
But someone's going to pick him up because he is a good driver. I'm not saying that he's not coached well. Maybe he just needs to see a sports psychologist and make better decisions towards the end under pressure. But there's something off with him. But I don't know. Well, the picks are in. If you got nothing else, I do want to say that watch out, guys. Sunday in Talladega is looking wet, cold and wet. So you can expect a high of 58 and a 95% chance of rain, around a half an inch. So it's going to be coming down for a while. If it doesn't go off at 3, Talladega does not have lights. So we could be expecting a Monday race, which kind of stinks. So keep that in the back of your head. I can't believe that it's going to be 58 all week going into it. It's going to be in the mid to low 80s, and then all of a sudden Sunday drops to 48 to 58 with rain. So all right, just keep that in the back of your head and enjoy the race. Don't drink and drive, but crack open a beer and watch these boys do their thing. Damn. We'll see you after Talladega. Let's go NASCAR.